Let me tell you something, man. The IWC Savior says we're live right here on Off the Script. How many of you guys know this song playing in the background? I know somebody out there knows. How much of a geek are you, like I am? AEW is white hot right now. White hot right now going on into All Out. Jon Moxley defended the AEW Championship against Darby Allin tonight. Moxley and Allin teamed in a winning effort against Brian Cage and Ricky Starks last week. And we got what I thought was a great main event for the AEW Championship. MJF gave an update on his campaign to become the inevitable AEW champion. Put on a good song, says Mr. Rax. Bro, give me a break. I only listen to good songs. MJF will be the new AEW champion. 12-man tag. Kenny Omega, Adam Hangman Page, the Young Bucks, FTR, Brody Lee, Colt Cabana, Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, and 5 and 9 of the Dark Order. Big 12-man tag tonight. And we got Cody defending the TNT Championship next week, which I'm already excited for. Never mind what happened tonight. I'm excited for next week. Tonight, he teamed with Zack Rider, Matt Cardona, against the Dark Order. And we also had the Best Friends versus Santana and Ortiz tonight on what I thought was a great episode of AEW Dynamite. Guys, are you ready to go live here tonight? Hit 1 in the chat if you're ready to go live. This is Off the Script.
Delete this man. Alive, people still didn't.
Thank you guys so very much for joining me here on Off the Script. This is your AEW Dynamite review for August 5th, 2020. Man, I am super excited for what AEW has been delivering on Wednesday night. I am super excited for All Out. I think All Out is going to be one of the best shows of the entire year. I was texting with a few people tonight, and AEW right now, and this has happened once or twice or 3 times or 4 times in the past. Every time AEW has a major pay-per-view, you know you're going to get some solid AEW Dynamite episodes. Now, there are lulls, but that is something that comes with the territory when they have only 4 pay-per-views throughout the entire year. So they try and fill in a Bash at the Beach here, or a Jericho Cruise there, or Fyter Fest, or a Fight for the Fallen here and there. We get it, but AEW has just taken it up a notch every single time when they have a major pay-per-view, and All Out is no different, man. I love tonight's episode, which was spearheaded tonight, in my honest opinion, by Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy, with Eric Bischoff, Eazy-E. Yes, that Eric Bischoff, who was fired from WWE as the executive director of SmackDown because SmackDown hit highs in the 4s as far as the ratings go, and then every single week after that, 3s, 2s, inevitably in the 1s. Eric Bischoff got canned. Eric Bischoff was no longer a part of the WWE. We went over it. I talked about it. I made myself sick talking about it. Eric Bischoff was only hired for Vince McMahon to fire him when things went wrong on Fox. Now, Bruce is in that position. How long before Bruce goes? Eric Bischoff showed up on Dynamite. How many people at the start of 2020 even conceived Eric Bischoff on an AEW Dynamite episode in this calendar year? I don't think anybody, when they did their yearly predictions for the year, predicted that one to happen. I think Eric Bischoff is great. Some people might not like Eric Bischoff being on Dynamite. It might give off WWE-esque vibes. It might give off old school WCW vibes. AEW should be AEW. They should not copy or try and be a WCW to combat WWE. Eric Bischoff has not been on TNT in over 20 years. And I think it's a great fit for a one-off. I don't think Eric Bischoff's going to end up with AEW. I don't think Eric Bischoff's going to be a commissioner or an authority figure on AEW Dynamite. He might end up, in a, I would say, not a creative aspect of Dynamite, but he might end up being like a counselor or a possible producer. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows what Eric Bischoff wants to do? The only one that knows what Eric Bischoff wants to do is Eric Bischoff. He may very well want to be back in the pro wrestling business, even though when I listened to him in the past, he doesn't really watch any modern day pro wrestling. He doesn't know anybody of the current crop of talent, whether it's AEW or WWE. I know when Conrad talks to him about certain situations that happened in the past and he kind of switches gears into what's going on right now, Eric Bischoff doesn't know what's going on. And that's one of the reasons why, reportedly, Eric Bischoff got fired. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think Eric Bischoff is willing to learn, or he was willing to learn. He was fired for the reasons that I just gave you, but it was great to see him back on TNT tonight. And I thought that Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy Wednesday night debate was one of the best pieces of television in pro wrestling for the entire year. If you want something that's going to make WWE look at what they should be doing, it's that. If you want something that's going to make AEW stand above WWE in certain aspects, you're going to go back and watch that debate between Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Anything that Chris Jericho does, I think we have settled into this comfort zone. You know it's going to be gold when Chris Jericho is a part of it. We're going to go over what was said. We're going to go over what I loved about it. And Orange Cassidy, for the first time in AEW, actually cut a promo. And I thought it was phenomenal. Good stuff there. Thank you guys so very much for joining me. Let's see what's going on in the chat. We got 782, 787 now watching live on YouTube. Thank you guys so very much for choosing Off the Script here for your Wednesday night podcast for AEW. I actually uploaded a video earlier today, and we went over some of the news and rumors happening this week in pro wrestling. XFL and The Rock. The Rock bought the XFL, so I covered that. We talked about the god-awful and ridiculous Alexa Bliss petition that was signed by Summerford fan base because of what Bray Wyatt did to her at the end of SmackDown on Friday night. There was a legitimate petition signed by over 170 people to bring Alexa Bliss justice for what Bray Wyatt did. Absolutely ridiculous. The Alexa Bliss fan base continues every single week to show everybody why they are the dumbest fucks in the entire IWC. Absolutely cancerous fan base are the Blissfits in every sense of the word. We talked about a possible WWE draft. We talked about Roman Reigns being back on WWE TV. We talked about the Raw Underground. And we talked about, I believe, what else did we talk about? Oh, yeah, Retribution. Retribution is the new faction. They actually have a name, folks. Retribution in WWE. I go over some key creative aspects that could lead to who is possibly involved with this Retribution faction on Monday Night Raw. If you guys missed that, go and check it out. It is literally the last upload on the channel. Go and check it out. Some good stuff there on that Off the Script Extra. How many of you guys actually went out and bought a new IWC Savior t-shirt? Bonfire.com is the exclusive home of the t-shirt. Make sure you guys go and get it. It is linked down in the description below of this very video. It will be linked on every video all week long. We've already sold upwards towards 35 in just 2.5 days. I would love, by the end of this stream, if you guys can get that up to 50, the goal will be met, and then we can start talking about reaching the next goal of 75, and then hopefully 100. My goal is 100. My personal goal, that is 100. And I would love if you guys go and support. If you love anything I do here, every penny that I make off these t-shirts goes right into the podcast. Believe me, I'm always upgrading stuff. I'm always thinking about how to make things better. If you guys go and buy a t-shirt, you are actively helping me make this show better, man. So go and get it today. At MikeWill87, my boy Mikey designed it. It is new for 2020. It is a revision of the most popular t-shirt that I've ever done. That is the original JD is NEGAN design. This is a redo on that original design, and we got it for you exclusively on Bonfire. Link is down in the description of this very video. Follow me on social media, man, at JD from NY206. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you enjoy what you see or hear right here on this show. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Turn on that bell for all notifications. If you guys missed any of the other videos, like I said, the Off the Script Extra and everything else, including a 2-hour Monday Night Raw review, go and check that out. Everything you need is linked down below. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. And today's show is brought to you by Audible. Audibletrial.com/Off the Script. Go and get yourself free 30 days and one free audiobook of your choice by using our unique link, audibletrial.com/Off the Script. Great way also to support the show. Save the best for last, man. Clearly, I am by myself tonight. I do not have my partner in crime as of late here for AEW Dynamite on Wednesday. My boy Jesse, not able to make the show today. I wasn't going to force him on the show because I know exactly what he went through. I think if you are a pet owner, you have felt what he is feeling now. I remember back in the day, I was completely heartbroken. I had to see my mom just drop to her knees when my grandmother's dog passed away because it was a shitty situation, man. My grandpa was developing Alzheimer's, and it got worse and worse and worse. And it was one afternoon where we didn't have any nurse aide watching him, and my uncle kind of took his eyes off of my grandpa, and my grandpa started feeding the dog chocolate and cookies and chocolate and cookies. Before you know it, 2 days later, the dog was dead. And my mom loved that dog more than she loved any one of us, really. So we took it to the vet, and my mom literally broke down on her knees crying in the vet's office. And I never want to see that ever again in my entire life. I wouldn't wish that on the most fucking hated person in my entire life. I really would not. It's something I think about every single day because my oldest cat, Bacardi, she's 18 years old, and I know she's not going to live forever. So I know that that day is coming for me. But Jesse went through that yesterday as the family dog was not really feeling well, and he was forced to put the dog down. And he did not have the right mindset to be here. And I gave him this time to spend with his family. I didn't even want him on the show because I know how he feels. So my thoughts and prayers go out to Jesse and his family and the severe loss of what I know is a family member. It's just like a child, you know? Very integral part of the family is anybody's pet, cat, dog, no matter what it is. And Jesse is not here tonight because of that. He'll be right back here next week, hopefully. So my thoughts and prayers and my love go out to Jesse and his family and everybody else that wished him well. Thoughts and prayers on social media. He's seen everything. He read everything. He continues to read through it, and he says it does put a smile on his face. So if you guys in the chat can at least do me the favor and do it for Jesse, give me a prayer emoji. Everybody in the chat, give me a prayer emoji for Jesse. He'll be back next week. Love you, brother. Don't worry about anything. I know you watched the show. Hopefully put a smile on your face, and we'll be back in business. We'll be better than the Hurt Business next week, so don't worry about it. AEW, man, let's start off with Dynamite. 6-man versus 6-man, 12-man tag. Not a big fan of these matches. You guys know how I feel about these big 12-man tag team matches, 10-man tag team matches. There is a time and a place for them to happen. And I did not like last week's 10-man tag. I thought it was just over the top goofy. I thought it was rushed. I never feel like I get something of substance with those matches. Everybody's trying to get their shit in the quickest time possible. I said it on social media. I said it last week, and I'm going to say it again. There's a time and a place for these matches to happen. Rarely do they fit into a storyline. Now, I will say this. If AEW was operating under normal circumstances, this would be an excellent blood and guts situation, a.k.a. War Games. But we don't have that right now. And I feel, like I said, there is a time and a place for these matches to happen. And I do feel that they work best in an elimination setting. I feel like AEW wanted to do this match simply for the OMG moments. I feel like AEW wanted to do this match to kind of find some new clips for the opening montage of AEW Dynamite. Now, I'm not saying it was a bad match. It was much better than what we got last week with the Jurassic Express in that 10-man tag. But I just don't like the way these matches come off. They are too chaotic. They are all over the place. This one was a little bit more confined. This one was less crazy than it was last week. This one actually had a lot of moving parts, a lot of stories going on in it. We got Brody Lee and Adam Hangman Page. We don't know what's going on there. Why Brody Lee is targeting Adam Hangman Page. We got Omega and Page and whatever turmoil is going on there between them. Looks like they may start splitting up sooner rather than later. We got FTR kind of befriending Adam Hangman Page. We got the Young Bucks and FTR. Who's better than who there? And then we got Colt Cabana. Where does his affiliation lie with the Dark Order? Still, nobody really knows. He says he's just chilling. He's just hanging out. So there's a lot of moving parts here in the Elite versus the Dark Order. Then you got FTR and Adam Hangman Page. And the rumors running wild about a possible 4 Horsemen group in AEW. We don't know. But the great thing about this is they played it off very, very well. And it wasn't too crazy. Everybody in the match got their shit in. And I thoroughly enjoyed it more than what we got last week. So Lee and Nick Jackson started out. Lee didn't fare well. He tagged number 9, not number 8, number 9, to be a sacrifice for this match. The Elite and FTR worked 9 over. Lee cut off Omega with a kick on the floor. Kind of swung the tide of the match into the Dark Order's favor. Momentum shifted as Omega made his own comeback on Grayson and Uno. Nick hit a flip dive off the post to the floor, which looked very good. Match turned again as Dax Harwood sold a knee injury after hitting a double foot stomp off the second rope. Now, if you guys follow FTR on social media, Dax has been teasing a possible leg injury. He had his leg wrapped up yesterday. He had his leg wrapped up again on a picture that he posted on Twitter. So I don't know the severity of that injury, but hopefully he's okay. So he sold that knee injury after the double stomp off the second rope. Cash and Page helped Dax as he limped to the back. This left Matt, Nick, and Omega. So it ended up being 3-on-6, the Elite versus the Dark Order. Page finally made his way back to the ring. Got a hot tag from Matt Jackson. Page ran absolutely nuts. Dark Order went down one by one. Lee looked on. He didn't really do anything as of this moment, but he did look on. He was paying very close attention to Hangman. Page hit a moonsault off the post. Again, Brody Lee. Brody Lee was on the apron. He looked at every movement Page did as he went up top, did the moonsault. He didn't do anything. And then he picked his spot. Then he ran the ropes and did a beautiful tope suicida through the ropes on Adam Hangman Page. So Page hit the moonsault. Page then dared Lee to tag in. Lee and Page traded strikes. Uno cut Page off with a kick from the apron. Cabana tagged in, hit a Chicago skyline. Omega made the save. Grayson hit a 450, which looked beautiful. Stu Grayson and Evil Uno are very underrated from what I can tell on social media when people are talking about the Dark Order. I think they are phenomenal at what they do. Excellent double team moves. Stu Grayson is really underrated as far as what he can do in the ring. Evil Uno, for a man his size, is great. He can move well. Loving the Dark Order right now. Bucks jumped in for a super kick party. They literally hit, I don't even know, 2 or 3 guys all down with super kicks. Bucks hit tandem super kicks on Lee into a Snapdragon from Omega. Then we go to the finish. Page went for the last call on Lee. Lee ducked and hit Page with a discus lariat for the pin, but Omega was dragged out of the ring. Omega was dragged out of the ring before he could deliver the big jumping V-trigger. Now, I don't remember who pulled him out. I believe it was the Dark Order that pulled him out, but Page almost nailed Kenny Omega with the buckshot lariat. So he missed. And then Brody Lee took advantage. Lee ducked hit Page with a discus lariat and took Page's head off. And that was it for the win. The Dark Order gets a big victory over the Elite in this big 6-man versus 6-man tag team match on the Open of Dynamite. Now, I don't know where we're going with this, but I did sense Kenny. There was one moment in the match where Kenny was by himself. Kenny was just suplexing people left and right. He was by himself as everybody was kind of just helping the FTR guys to the back. Dax Harwood had the knee injury, and they helped him to the back. Everybody was so concerned about him leaving Kenny in the ring. It was like a 1-on-6 situation at one point. Then the Bucks came back and stood in Kenny's corner, but Page left to go see if FTR was okay. Now, I don't know what Kenny was thinking about that. Knowing that that happened and the way that that was scripted into the match, I'm sure that's going to be brought up at some point in the next couple of weeks. And I know on Being the Elite, Kenny Omega actually said something to FTR. He said, I hope I can really look forward to you guys doing your deal tonight. You know, because obviously they haven't seen eye to eye. And then after that, with the injury, I wonder how that's going to play into what Kenny Omega told FTR on Being the Elite. And then we seen Kenny Omega almost get his head knocked off by Page accidentally because of a miscue. He wasn't paying attention. Is Page going to blame Kenny? Is Kenny going to blame Page for kind of taking his head out of the game and going to help FTR? There's a lot of moving parts here. It is so fun to kind of watch all of this unfold. So many questions with different situations and different scenarios happening in this one program by itself. There's more moving parts in this one program, in this one storyline, than there is on SmackDown on Friday night. This is what makes AEW so fun. Now, again, I didn't really care for the match, but if the storytelling was as good as it was tonight, I'm not really going to complain all that much. Like I said, much better than what we got last week. It was a situation where a lot of guys got their shit in. It was nicely constructed, and the stories advanced very nicely with everybody right now that we're definitely interested in. The Elite, the Bucks and FTR, FTR and Page, Page and Omega. What's Brody Lee doing, and what is he constructing up here in his mind with Page? Very, very interesting situation with all parties involved. This was very fun. Very fun. Again, I don't really like them, but I dealt with it because of the story, and it was nicely done. Moving on here, man. We went from that big 12-man tag, and the announcers hyped Jon Moxley and Darby Allin, which I was very much looking forward to. Taz was on commentary. He's pissed off that Brian Cage and Ricky Starks were banned from AEW. They were banned from ringside. They were not allowed to come down to the ring to have any part of this match. He said he hopes that Moxley and Darby Allin end up leaving both in an ambulance. And we go from that and him talking about that to the best friends. Best friends Chucky T and Trent got out with their suitcases and they drove to Daly's place in Trent's mother's sedan. So Trent is driving his mother's car around. So I guess this would officially make Trent a soccer mom, quote unquote. He loves his mother. He's a good man. He's a good man. So we go from that to a Jon Moxley promo. Jon Moxley was sitting on some steps in Daly's place all by himself. Behind him was the AEW Championship, talking about how he's not ashamed to say he wrestled demons early in his career. We watch demons every single week on Monday. It's called Raw. It's called the Monday Night Demons. He said people who cared about him often tried to talk to him and talk him out of stuff earlier in his career, such as not fighting certain people or don't do a certain type of match. Said looking back, in some cases he wishes that he had listened to them because he had paid a price. He said he wouldn't do the same, or he wouldn't do some things differently. He said he gets why Darby challenged him for his title and what he was trying to do. He said in an ironic twist, he has become the voice of reason and he's concerned for someone's health. He said it won't cross Darby's mind that the last time they wrestled, he almost broke his neck. He said Darby is his favorite guy in AEW, and he doesn't want to be known as the guy who ended Darby's career. He said the little thing here is the title is on the line, and he's got to do what he's got to do. He's got to do what he's got to do to save the title. He told him he won't try to talk him out of anything, but please, when it's time to stay down, please just stay down. Even though I know you're not going to listen to me because I know I wouldn't, said Moxley. He said with a sense of concern, stay down. Stay down. It's for your own good. It's for the greater good. He didn't really say that, but that's what I was thinking. Moxley knows how to cut a promo in all senses. He knows how to be sympathetic yet tough. He knows how to be vile and evil when he needs to be. Moxley's great at what he does. And a lot of people right now, because MJF is the next big thing. MJF is the next big thing in AEW. And people are already claiming that Moxley was a failure as AEW champion. I don't look at it that way. You really can't say that about Jon Moxley. You can't. How is anybody a failure in their role as world champion? They clearly gave him the world championship because he's the second biggest name on this roster outside of Chris Jericho. Seriously, he's outside of Chris Jericho, the second biggest name on this roster. He's got 7 years of WWE behind him, joined AEW, became their world champion, was booked incredibly on the way in. He's held the championship for close to 200 days now. And we're in the middle of a pandemic that's not ending anytime soon. MJF is probably going to go and do the same thing and have a title reign in a pandemic era. These are the same people that are telling me that Drew McIntyre is a failure as the WWE champion. How do you gauge someone as a failure? There's no live shows. You don't know how much money they're bringing in. Everybody's just merely looking at the ratings, but nobody really is drawing a rating now. And if anything, AEW has kind of bounced back from where they were back in April and May. We're now going into June, July, and August now. AEW has bounced back in the ratings. They're doing much better than when we started this pandemic. NXT's even doing a lot better. There was a moment in time where NXT really wasn't doing much of anything as far as ratings. People kind of wrote them off. Now they're drawing upwards towards 700, 750. AEW almost hit 900,000 just 2 weeks ago. So how is Jon Moxley a failure? How is Drew McIntyre as WWE champion a failure? No live shows. They can't sell any fucking t-shirts. There's no live gate. What are you gauging it off of? What you see on Monday Night Raw? Because the ratings are down, you're going to blame 16 segments creatively failing around Drew McIntyre as Drew McIntyre's fault? How could you blame Jon Moxley for having a failure of a title run? I would love to have a discussion with somebody about Jon Moxley. These are the same people that say, oh, Kenny Omega is not the same Kenny Omega that we've seen in New Japan. We're not going to get that Kenny Omega until Kenny Omega is ready to give us that Kenny Omega. But to say Kenny Omega is a failure and he's not anywhere close to what he was in New Japan, that's not his role now. He's taken the AEW Tag Team Championships and he's made them the most sought-after Tag Team Championships in the industry. If you think that's a failure, then I don't think you're watching the sport correctly. I don't think you're watching Kenny Omega correctly. So this is what I have to deal with. This is the shit that I see. Jon Moxley is doing great. And when he drops that title to MJF, I want to see people say the same thing about MJF. It's not fair. But people are talking because MJF is so white hot right now and has been white hot since the start of this winning streak that he's on. Santana and Ortiz versus the Best Friends. This went 15 minutes. This was awesome. If you love tag team wrestling, this was great. One thing about AEW, man, there's way too many tag team matches. I get it. Tag team wrestling is their bread and butter. The Young Bucks did not lie about what they were going to do when AEW started in regards to tag team wrestling. But man, oh man, every single week, it's like Tag Team Appreciation Week. They're actually having Tag Team Appreciation Week next week. What is the difference between next week and every other week that we've seen on AEW Dynamite? It's like every week is Tag Team Appreciation Week. I don't really understand it. But here we are. This was a great tag team match. Santana and Ortiz versus the Best Friends. Best Friends win here. Surprisingly, I was very surprised that they got the victory here, but it kind of made a little bit more sense after the fact when the post-match antics happened. So Ross noted that Santana and Ortiz were ranked in the top 5 back in February, but have not been ranked since. That's a pretty important statistic. I love when they bring up that type of shit on commentary. That's why it's in the notes. I'm that type of guy. Now, this was 15 minutes of back and forth. Like I said, if you enjoyed good tag team wrestling on Dynamite, this is no different. Best Friends knocked Santana and Ortiz out of the ring. They hugged. They went for their signature hug. We cut to a break. Go to split screen. Santana took his time getting back into the ring, coming in from the outside. Best Friends took over on him. Ortiz got the tag during the break and kind of sustained offense for them in this match. And they were focusing on Trent Beretta's lower back here. Chucky T tagged in. They double suplexed Ortiz off the top rope. And Ortiz and Santana double-teamed Trent with a barrage of tandem moves for a near fall. Typical, quote-unquote, LAX. Santana set up, and I believe he set up for... I don't know what I forgot to put it in my notes. He sat up. He sat up. And then Trent ended up surprising Ortiz with a roll-up a minute later. Ross says Ortiz let his guard down for a second, paid the price there. Ortiz sat up, looking frustrated. Shivani said the 3-match winning streak for Santana and Ortiz is over. Best Friends win, and this was excellent tag team wrestling. This was excellent tag team wrestling. No different than what you've seen on the past here before. They did try for the street sweeper. Taylor shoved Santana off the top, and Trent trapped Ortiz's legs for a roll-up victory, and that was pretty much it. After the match was over, we went to a video of MJF at his campaign headquarters, and he was with Wardlow and his campaign team. He fired a worker for putting a stick of gum in his mouth that wasn't to his liking. Yes, this is MJF's presidential campaign. Gum not to his liking. Fired. I would have fired the geek too. If you're not giving me flavorful fucking gum, man, who the fuck likes gum? You ever put a stick of gum in your mouth and it's like lost its flavor in like 15 seconds? The fuck are you chewing? Like you're chewing rubber after that. Nobody wants that. So he abused the other campaign workers verbally. He berated one of the lady staffers there because she was running her mouth, and he said, "Honey, you look better while smiling. Smile for me." MJF. Then he verbally abused somebody else because he hung a poster of MJF, obviously, and it was crooked. It wasn't lined up straight. So he then took a measuring stick and he measured it. Look, it's not straight. Does this look straight to you? So then he threw the measuring stick at the guy, and the guy didn't even want to look at him. No, it's not straight. So he called that other woman honey. He showed a poll that showed him at 100% approval, and Moxley was at negative 88%. I don't know who the fuck is not voting for Moxley that he's at negative 88%. Moxley had 0 votes. MJF had 51 million. I don't know where he's coming. This is the Bobby the Brain Heenan mathematics equation. This is the Bobby the Brain Heenan mentality, you know? That's what he would do on commentary. It's what I thought of when I thought of this. He just said because Tony Khan has authorized his title match against Moxley at All Out, they won't stop campaigning until he has the title. So then one of the staffers asked, well, what if Darby Allin wins? MJF said, well, wouldn't it suck to wrestle a 125-pound emo kid for the AEW championship? So then he left, and then he kissed his ring, and the segment was over. Excellent stuff by MJF. I'm loving these campaign skits with him running for, I guess, president, quote-unquote, but he's lobbying to be the AEW champion. This is good stuff, as always, from MJF. If you don't enjoy it, I think you got something wrong with you. Let's look at the chat, man. Let's look at the chat. We got 1,000 in here. We got 1,000 viewers in here. We got some super chats going on. Let me run through these. Pretty quick, some of these. We got Daniel Easterday. Always in here is Daniel Easterday. $2. Matthew Hardy shooting on WWE. Ouch. What a promo. We're going to talk about it. It's coming up next. Thank you, Daniel. Adrian. He became a member. What's up, brother? Thank you so much. Team Forward, $2 super chat. Orange Cassidy should beat Jericho next week. Don't worry, my friend. It is going to happen. JP, 5150. JD, as always, AEW delivers a great show. Minus the 12-man cluster match at the start. I didn't really mind it too much this week. I agree with you. It is too much. They need to happen in a certain place and in a certain time. But it was not that bad. I really didn't shit all over like I did last week, but I get what you're saying. Got me a new flavor from Linderman's Creek, a Creek Lambic called Framboise. Bro, I've had Framboise, I've had the cherry, and I've had the raspberry, I believe. I think they have a blackberry too. I've had them all. They're excellent. They are what you call after-dinner beers. It's almost like an after-dinner beer / wine. It's so good, man. So smooth, very tasty, very flavorful. So enjoy that. And I always love your beer recommendations, man. Still looking for that Threes Brewing one. Definitely want to try that one. But JP, thank you for the $5 super chat. Shout out to Daryl in the chat. Daryl, I think it's the Daryl that I'm talking about. But Daryl has been a Patreon of mine for 2 years at $100 per month. He is absolutely one of the driving forces behind Off the Script. He is somebody that I look at when I see him send me a message. I read everything. I'm terrible at replying, but I see and read everything. And I appreciate everything. He sends me some of the most creative shit as far as what to do on WWE programming or what AEW should be doing. He sends me long-ass emails telling me how he would do things creatively. If you looked at his vision for reworking the entire tag team division in WWE, you would be, let's go with this guy's fucking idea. We're going to take tag team wrestling to a point where it's going to rival AEW. That's how good the ideas are. Awesome, awesome stuff. So I want to shout out Daryl in the chat, if it's the Daryl that I'm talking about. And he's been a VIP on the Patreon page for 2 years now at $100. He is an absolute fucking savage in every sense of the word. I love him, and I'm glad he's with me here on the podcast tonight. Going on with the rest of the show, man, Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy is in the ring, and it looks like we are not getting broken Matt Hardy, at least for the time being. Now, I do think, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, this is kind of a reset of the broken gimmick, per se. Now, I don't know who would not want Matt Hardy as broken in AEW. I got my inclinations on this. I got my thoughts on this. Matt Hardy right now is kind of in limbo. He wants to just be himself. He wants to be Matt. But I honestly think Matt knows his money is in the broken stuff. I think Matt knows his money is in broken Matt Hardy. If I'm Matt Hardy, I'm thinking, why am I doing all this and putting so much creativity into something that is only going to be seen by a percentage of the audience? There's no live audience. Matt Hardy is a live audience character. He's a live audience act. Matt Hardy's broken gimmick was so successful because of the crowd and the energy and the feel around him from everybody that came to that venue on every single night he was in that ring. I think Matt knows that. A lot of people are wondering, why isn't he broken? Why is he going to just regular Matt Hardy? Because he knows he has something special and he doesn't want to give everything that he has away in this pandemic era that we're in. There's nobody there to enjoy it. And Matt Hardy is such a talented guy that, and he says what he is. He's multifaceted. That's exactly what Matt Hardy is. Why would Matt Hardy give away everything of the broken gimmick in this pandemic era when he knows he could do something else, be himself, be any other version of himself, and it's going to still be respected by each and every one of us sitting here in this chat, every single one of us watching at home, respected by everybody watching around the world, wherever you are? Why is he going to give it all away? So he's going to be himself. And maybe this will lead to Matt being broken again when we're allowed to have live fans in attendance whenever that may be. But Matt is Matt. You're going to love Matt. You're going to respect Matt no matter what. Matt's going to be there to help AEW. Matt's going to be there to help put over the young talent. He's working with Private Party. It's got to be great for them. He's working with Sammy G. That's got to be great for him. These guys probably idolized Matt and Jeff growing up. And now here they are, working with him and working with him in the ring. It's going to be a great deal. So that's my thought on Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy was in the ring cutting a promo. Stood in the ring, he explained why he came to AEW, so he could wrestle somewhere that he'd be respected and would have a say in the direction his career would go. Clear shot at WWE because you know in WWE the handcuffs are not going anywhere. He said when he arrived, he looked around and thought he could be an attraction. He still can. He still can. Not right now. Nobody's a star. Nobody's an attraction right now. But he knows he could still be an attraction, and I do believe he still has it in him to be an attraction. He said he's been having a blast. He says he's listened to his audience, and AEW listens to its audience, and the majority of the millions watching Dynamite want him to just be him. They just want him to be him. He said he will do that on screen. He said off screen, he wants to be Matt Hardy, the one who gives back. He said two guys remind him a lot of himself and his brother, and that is Mark Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy of Private Party. He said if they ever need anything from him, he has their backs. I can't even begin to tell you how much that means to Private Party. That put Private Party over without Private Party actually even being there. Because Matt Hardy said he would go to bat for anything with Private Party. He said if they ever need anything, he has their backs. He said he has also tried to help Sammy Guevara, but Sammy didn't want to take his advice to get away from Jericho and stop being his bump boy. He said Sammy attacked him from behind, so he decided to return the favor last week. Sammy crawled out from underneath the ring and snuck up from behind Matt. Matt then said, I knew you'd come. And they brawled in the ring. He turned around, got the better of Sammy just for a little bit, but Sammy absolutely destroyed Matt Hardy in this sneak attack, beatdown attack. Sammy yanked him to the floor. Matt reverse tossed Sammy into the ringside barricade, and then he threw Sammy into the timekeeper's area. He set up a table right in front of the timekeeper's area. Sammy recovered and beat up Matt, put him on a table. He threw a chair at Matt Hardy, which looked absolutely vicious. He then did a running flip dive off the stage onto Hardy, onto the floor. Hardy was bleeding heavily from the forehead. Taz said one of the legs of the chair caught him in the face, and he was bleeding everywhere. Everywhere. It is absolutely disgusting how much blood there was from Matt Hardy. I don't know if it was legit or not. I don't know if that was Matt Hardy being busted open hard way. I guess we'll find out in the days to come, but this was a great spot. Sammy with that big flip off the stage onto Matt through the table. Just was the cherry on top of the cake here. Looks like we're going to get Matt Hardy versus Sammy G at All Out. I'm excited for it. Matt Hardy is known for being extreme. I guess we're going to get Extreme Matt Hardy against Sammy G at All Out. It's going to be great. And I think this is really going to put Sammy to that next level. And Matt, when he says he wants to help others, he wants to put others over, this is exactly what he's talking about. This made Sammy look really good. A lot of the time, Sammy could be very jovial. He could be very funny and in a joking manner. Sammy G showed you he could be fucking brutal when the time calls for it, and that's exactly what this was. This was really good stuff here. We went from that to Santana and Ortiz, so the Inner Circle having a real good night tonight. They cut to the parking lot where Santana and Ortiz took out their frustrations on the best friends after losing to Trent and Chucky T. They had sledgehammers, and they were bashing the minivan with sledgehammers. Trent's mother's sedan, or minivan, destroyed by Santana and Ortiz. They bashed the rearview mirror, they bashed the taillights, they bashed the windshield, they began denting the doors, and then spray painted the hood, and this was some really, really just down and dirty shit. They vandalized this motherfucker's car. Love it. Love it. Shivani then tried to explain that Trent's mother, Sue, didn't do anything to Santana and Ortiz to deserve any of this. So it looks like we got an angle out of it. And it looks to be that they took Trent's mother's minivan and they kind of used it to forward this angle ahead. But I guess Tony Khan's going to end up buying her a 2021 new version of that minivan anyway. So what's the difference? She traded in her old piece of shit minivan for a new Tony Khan exclusive minivan to help fuel AEW Dynamite's tag team division. Some good stuff here. This was a great match, and I'm very interested to see where they go and what else they could possibly do between these two teams. But as long as they keep it and make it about who is in the top 5 and who's not in the top 5. Jim Ross mentioned that Santana and Ortiz have not been in the top 5 since February. Have that be an integral part of the story. Not only the revenge part, which is obviously going to tell the story here, but Santana and Ortiz have a reason to be frustrated, and that is one of the reasons why they should be frustrated. They've won, and they haven't cracked the top 5 yet. They want to get back to that spot where everybody knows they should be. They're one of the best tag teams in the world. So I'm loving it. We'll see what happens. Matt Cardona and Cody versus John Silver and Alex Reynolds of the Dark Order. This was good. This was good. I was very impressed with the Dark Order here more than anybody. I was very impressed with Alex Reynolds and John Silver of the Dark Order. We'll talk about Matt Cardona in a second because obviously he's the one that everybody wanted to see how he does here away from WWE. But the Dark Order got a lot of offense in on Cody. Matt Cardona made the hot tag. He did his usual stuff. If you know anything about Zack Rider, nothing's changed. He looks great. He looks better than ever. He looks refreshed. He looks like he belongs. So I'm happy for him. I really am. And we'll talk about him in a second because everybody wants to talk about Matt Cardona because he's the WWE guy. Now let's talk about the Dark Order. You know, the Dark Order, I did not like them just taking all of these nobodies initially and trying to make them into somebodies because nobody really knew anything about them. And then AEW put them in masks. Everybody's in a mask. Colt Cabana's not in a mask. Anna Jay comes out with a mask. Brody Lee doesn't come out in a mask. Evil Uno's in a mask. Some of them are in masks and some of them are not in masks. But unless it's... Now, listen, I might have missed something. I don't watch Dark. I don't watch Being the Elite every single week. Maybe Jesse will tell me tonight. But this is one of the things that stood out to me that I feel like they need to change. If John Silver and Alex Reynolds are going to be taken seriously as a tag team, take the fucking masks off their face. Am I the only one who thinks that way? Because I'm looking at these guys and I'm seeing them beat down Cody and I'm like, what makes them stand out? It looks like two nobodies beating down Cody Rhodes in this match. And they're looking great while they're doing it, but who are they? They are John Silver and Alex Reynolds. I want to see their face when they're beating somebody down like they were beating Cody down tonight. I don't want to see them in a mask. So let me know if you guys feel that same way that I do about the masks. Some of them wearing masks and some of them are not wearing masks. I feel like John Silver and Alex Reynolds should not be in masks. Now, Matt Cardona. Matt Cardona looks great. He belongs. I do believe that he is not full-time with AEW just yet. He's not full-time with AEW. I believe he's only signed on for a 5-match deal. But then he came out and said that this is not just a cup of coffee in AEW. Now, I don't see Zack Rider going to an Impact. I don't. I think that's obviously not where he needs to be. They got enough going on over there. They took enough ex-WWE guys to fill their 2020 and 2021. I don't think Zack Ryder's going to get over on Impact Wrestling. I feel like if he goes to Impact Wrestling, and this is exactly how I feel about those guys already, Eric Young and Kurt Hawkins and Heath Slater, the Good Brothers, they're all over there. They're already kind of, who cares? They're already kind of like forgotten after the big hype around Slammiversary. They're not really doing much of anything over there. Zack Ryder is on the second biggest promotion in all of North America. He's teaming with one of the biggest names in the business right now, one of the most over names in the business right now, tonight on Dynamite in Cody Rhodes. He's teaming with the TNT Championship. Cody is doing everything he possibly can to make that the most important title in North America, or at least one of them. And he's doing a great job at it. So why would he go and join Impact Wrestling or an MLW or a Ring of Honor? Or why would he go to Japan? Zack Ryder, a.k.a. Matt Cardona, is going to be in AEW for the long haul. And I think what we seen tonight, it kind of proved that he does belong. He looked great. Now, I don't know what you guys thought of Matt Cardona in the ring tonight, but when I watched him, I just got this vibe. It kind of emanated through the TV. It's like, man, just give me a fucking ring and let me wrestle. I got that vibe from him. It's like tonight he was just so enraged. It wasn't the broski that we seen in WWE. It wasn't the fun-loving broski who was like, oh my God, being scrutinized and micromanaged in the ring by Vince McMahon and his fucking goon squad, right? He felt like he was legitimately free tonight. The intensity was there. The effectiveness of his moves were there. He was crisp. He was ready to go. He knew that this was his moment. He couldn't wait to get the fuck out there. He had that vibe of, let me get in that fucking ring and show you what I'm going to do. So I love it. I love seeing someone renewed after being held down for so long. Again, he's not going to be a difference maker. He doesn't need to be a difference maker. But if he can add anything to AEW, anything at all, it's going to be a situation where it's AEW's gain and WWE's loss. Because I would hate losing good talent. And Matt Cardona's a good talent. Now, Cody is doing excellent with the TNT Championship. We all know that. Championship should be done by the middle of August. Can't wait to see the full title completed. He's already stated that. And this was a good tag team match. Nothing really over the top. Oh my God, I have to go and rewatch this. Or if you missed it, you got to go and watch it. Zack Ryder was the one, or Matt Cardona is the one we're going to be talking about here. And that was pretty much the entire basis of this match. Cody wanted to get him over. Reynolds and Silver almost immediately went right after Cody, ramming his ribs into the ring frame. So we got Reynolds and Silver continuing to work on Cody's ribs after that spot. We go to commercial break. They continue working on Cody's ribs through the commercial break. Cody tried a backslide, but Silver blocked. Cody hit a power slam. He made the hot tag to Matt Cardona. Cardona hit a dropkick through the ropes to the floor on both Silver and Reynolds. He then hit a double underhook powerbomb on Reynolds for a near fall. Match was breaking down at the end. Cody hit Silver with a cutter. Reynolds sent Cody outside. Silver and Reynolds double teamed up on Cardona. Cody and Silver did a simultaneous suplex spot over the top rope to the floor, which left Cardona in the ring with Reynolds. He hit Reynolds with radio silence, which was his former finishing move called the Rough Rider, in WWE, and that was pretty much it. That was pretty much it. Dark Order looked good in defeat. They got a lot of offense on Cody. Cody made the hot tag to CARDONA, and CARDONA took it home. And that's what the match was. That's pretty much it. And I was expecting something to happen here with CARDONA, and it could very well still happen. I don't know what you guys were thinking in the middle of this match. I'm like, who does Cody have lined up for the TNT Championship at All Out? Is it going to be a situation where it's going to be somebody special? Is it going to be someone new, big, and unexpected, the next big signing for AEW? Maybe it's a mixture of a lot of guys that he's already faced one-on-one for the TNT Championship. Maybe it's a multi-man match. Maybe. I don't know. Or maybe, like I was thinking tonight, how many of you were actually thinking that Matt Cardona would turn heel tonight? I was thinking maybe Cardona and Cody at All Out for the TNT Championship. Cardona comes in. He turns on Cody immediately. Everybody that knows Cody knows his relationship with Cardona. They already know what's going on. They know that they're very good friends. I'm assuming most of the audience knows that Brandy and Cody hooked up and set up Cardona with Chelsea Green, who he's now engaged to. So I thought that we could very well see a heel turn. We may still get one. And Cardona could challenge Cody for the TNT Championship at All Out. So how many of you guys were actually thinking that? So they may want to play it up a little bit, but I'm genuinely curious as to who Cody Rhodes is going to be defending that TNT Championship against at All Out, because you know it's going to be big. You know it's going to be big. It's been big the first time, the second time, and it's going to continue to be big because Cody's building that championship up to be something very special in AEW. Moving on here, man, the literal best part of the show. Sammy Guevara made his entrance. He was wearing sweatpants, the same sweatpants that he beat up Matt Hardy in. Blood stains all over them. Loved the visual. Loved the visual. He held up signs during a split-screen commercial break that said, "Hey, Orange, like Matt Hardy versus Inner Circle, you're going to lose. Not only is the Demo God a master in the ring, he is a monster on the mic, master on the stage, he's a master entertainer, and he's a master debater." Ha ha ha. Gotta love Sammy Guevara's humor. So, Justin Roberts out there for the Wednesday night debate, 2020 Wednesday night debate here on AEW. And Justin Roberts introduced the guest moderator of this great debate, which was Eric Bischoff. Eazy-E has returned to TNT as the guest moderator. Tony Schiavone said this was the first time that Eric Bischoff's been on TNT in over 20 years. Taz says he's looking great, and it's great to have him back on TNT. Now, even before Dynamite hit, even before Dynamite aired tonight, there were spoilers. And people were already shitting on this before it even happened, before they even watched 1 minute of this. AEW's picking up WWE scraps. AEW's becoming the TNA of 2020. And here they are bringing in Eric Bischoff. Not really the vibe that AEW needs to be going for. As if they know how long Eric Bischoff's going to be with AEW, if at all he's going to be with AEW at all. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Now, is Eric Bischoff a good fit for AEW? Yes and no. He is. He's a big name. People know him. Some people, I would say, respect him. Some people think that he's got a great mind for the business. Some people think he is the quintessential character to make you watch a pro wrestling program. And he's definitely still, after all these years, he's got that type of attitude. He's got that type of vibe around him. And I say yes for those reasons, but I also say no because Eric Bischoff, on his podcast, has adamantly stated that he doesn't watch pro wrestling. He doesn't watch any modern-day pro wrestling. He doesn't know a lot of the talent. He doesn't know a lot of what's going on. He's out of touch with what the business is and how the business is operating now, how the in-ring product is vastly different from what he remembers it to be when he was on WCW and in WWE. It's completely different. So my question is, yes, he's good for TV. He's good for AEW, just based on name value alone. And no, because why would you want to bring in somebody that relatively is unknown to everything pro wrestling in 2020? How much value does he have to not only the business, but to AEW when he doesn't know anything? If Eric Bischoff wants to know, he's going to know. If Eric Bischoff actually gave a shit about pro wrestling, if he actually was a fan of pro wrestling, he would have been keeping up on the product, not every week, but he would be one of those guys that knows what's going on, knows who's who, and still having his finger on the pulse, per se. He doesn't. His finger is nowhere near the pulse at all. So how good is Eric Bischoff for AEW? Maybe that's one of the reasons why Vince McMahon got rid of him. There were rumors going around that Eric Bischoff was lazy. There were actually reports that Eric Bischoff hung around catering more often than he was actually giving a shit about the job that he was there to do as executive director. He put no effort into knowing the talent. He put no effort into getting to know anything about the way WWE is doing TV in 2020. Nothing. 2019. He didn't even make it into 2020. He was fired immediately. So how valuable is he to AEW? Is he the type of guy that you want to bring in and do business with? I don't know. Only time will tell. Let me know what you guys think about Eazy-E being back in pro wrestling on AEW on Wednesday night. The one thing I do like about it, even if it is a one-off, he did his best. Eric Bischoff did his best to deflect the true reason why he was fired. He was fired because Vince McMahon needed somebody to point the finger of blame at when things he knew were going to go south on Fox with SmackDown. If Vince didn't have anybody in that position, he legitimately created those positions as executive director because he knew without those positions that if anything went wrong, Fox was going to come for him. So when he brought all of this to the shareholders and he created this position and the shareholders were wondering, oh, what's going on with the ratings? Oh, Fox is asking what's going on with the ratings. Oh, it's Eric Bischoff's fault. He was the executive director and it's all his fault. And then they slotted in Bruce, my good old buddy Bruce. Eric Bischoff did his best to deflect anything about that situation. He still, even after the fact, spoke highly of Bruce. Nobody better than Bruce for the position. Bruce and I go way back. We're very good friends. Still talking about Vince McMahon in a good light. I don't blame them for anything. Blah, 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 blah. Then he shows up on AEW Dynamite. Maybe that's the way Eric Bischoff operates. Maybe he's like, yeah, I'll kind of kill them with kindness. And then when the opportunity comes, because people still ask him nowadays to come back anyway. People have been asking for Eric Bischoff to come back to TV for years. And then when Chris Jericho probably put in the phone call, called Eric Bischoff, you want to come and ruffle some feathers on TNT and do this thing with me in Orange? He jumped at the fact because he killed WWE with kindness and then went on the competitions show and strutted out like only Eric Bischoff can. That was a big fuck you, even though it might have not come off as that to me. Knowing everything I know about what had happened, that is a big fuck you to Vince McMahon without actually giving the middle finger. I thought it was great. And I enjoyed his time on the show here tonight. So Bischoff sat at a desk on the stage, thanked everyone for being there for AEW Super Wednesday Debate 2020. So the format is simple. There are 5 questions that neither debater has seen. He introduced Orange Cassidy first. Cassidy strode out casually to the debate. Then he introduced Chris Jericho, who walked out in a beautiful suit, by the way. And Jake Hager was with him. And Jake Hager held up his orange juice-stained white jacket on a hanger right behind him. Always got to get that shot of the white jacket soaked in devil's juice, is what Chris Jericho said. Bischoff asked the question, why do they hate each other so much? Jericho criticized Cassidy for dressing so casually in a jean jacket and Cassidy wearing a t-shirt. So Cassidy was listening to him, goes into his jacket. Jericho standing there wearing a $10,000 suit. Cassidy came in jeans, a jean jacket, a white t-shirt. He goes into his jacket, he pulls out a clip-on tie and clips on a black tie to his t-shirt. How many of you wore clip-on ties back in the day? I know you did. I know I did. If you're telling me otherwise, you're a bullshit artist. You're lying directly to me. So he pulled out a tie. He put a tie on himself. And Jericho said hate isn't a strong enough word. He said he despises Cassidy and all the morons who follow him and think he's the greatest thing in pro wrestling history. You're not. And then he claimed people laugh at him behind his back, critics, historians, experts. And so do I. You're nothing, you're a nobody, you're a flash in the pan. You're nothing more than a ginger jackass who plays pocket pool on a weekly basis. He told Bischoff that he was done with his opening statement. Bischoff then asked for a response. Orange Cassidy did not say anything. Jericho told Bischoff, well, listen, he doesn't talk and has nothing to say. Move on to the next question. So Eric Bischoff then asked the second question, who is the better wrestler and who is the bigger star? Jericho laughed at the question. He said, he's the demo god who has held over 50 titles all over the world, whereas Cassidy was named the biggest slacker in high school. Jericho then went on to say if he was in high school with him, he'd give him a wedgie, take his lunch money, steal his girlfriend, and he said he smells and he makes him sick. Bischoff threw to Cassidy, and Cassidy again said nothing. Meanwhile, Jake Hager did the little, oh my God, you're on fire deal to Jericho because he loved what Jericho said about Orange Cassidy, about him being a geek, beating him up in the hallway and then taking his lunch money and then taking his girlfriend. I thought that was quite clever myself. Jericho then asked to move on to the next question. Bischoff asked, question number 3, and Bischoff asked about the global sea levels rising in the world. What are your thoughts on this very serious global situation? Said Eric Bischoff. Jericho said, listen, this has nothing to do with anything here. Let's move on to the next question. So Orange Cassidy took the microphone and actually spoke words. He was not lazy on this night, folks. Cassidy cited statistics and facts about the global impact and dangers that could result. He memorized all of this brilliantly, went over all this information, and I don't even know what he said. I was just so enthralled with what he was saying. It was almost as if he could teach class. Orange Cassidy came off like a fucking brilliant, just individual in this situation. The first words out of his mouth on AEW television are about the global sea levels rising around the world. So he rattled off all this information and then said thank you at the end of it. Taz then asked, where the fuck did that come from? Bischoff chuckled and said he was impressed and now said, well, ladies and gentlemen, we now have ourselves a debate. Jericho was not happy. Bischoff then asked, why is Orange Cassidy so popular? This was question number 4. Jericho said he's lazy, he's arrogant, and he's entitled. He says he's the epitome of every idiot, smart mark fan in the arena tonight and watching at home. He says he's a pimple on the ass of pro wrestling. He said he'll pop him next week and beat him for a second time. He said when he does, he will have to pay him. This is a very important line, folks. He will have to pay him $7,000 for his white jacket, for the damage he did to his custom jacket. He said then he will leave AEW and quit pro wrestling and be Jim the Jamba Juice guy and take his order for a blueberry smoothie with protein powder and pumpkin seeds. Sounds good? I love me some Jamba Juice. And guess what? I'm not going to give you a tip. This was absolutely fucking hysterical. This was great shit. Cassidy then said nothing. He said nothing. Jericho said, last question. Bischoff asked why the rematch means so much to both of these guys. Cassidy took the microphone and interrupted Jericho and told him to shut up. Shut up. Said he knows what he's doing here. Said he scheduled a debate against a guy who doesn't speak. Said he's trying to embarrass him. Says he's not embarrassed and doesn't care. He said he does care about next week and that match. He said it's the biggest match of his life. He said it's also the biggest match of Jericho's life. You know, Chris Jericho, man, you've done it all. He said if he loses to the guy that puts his hands in his pockets, what then? He told Jericho to look into his eyes and look at the man who's going to embarrass him. He said next week, look at the man who's going to beat him. Jericho didn't know what to say because he didn't expect that from Orange Cassidy. Taz said he was even shocked that Cassidy had all of that anger inside of him verbally. Bischoff then declared Orange Cassidy the winner of this Wednesday night debate. Jericho yelled, "What are you talking about?" Bischoff said the global warming thing got to him. Jericho says he doesn't like him. I never liked you. For 22 years, I never liked you. Bischoff said, I know how it feels. I get it. Jericho says he's going to kick the shit out of Orange Cassidy. He then ordered Jake Hager to attack him. Hager beat up Cassidy in the corner, turning Cassidy into just fucking yesterday's trash, throwing him around. And then he whipped him into Jericho, who delivered a Judas effect, and Orange Cassidy sold the Judas effect beautifully. Best friends came out to protect Cassidy, and Jericho and Hager bailed after beating down Orange Cassidy after he was declared the winner of the great Wednesday night debate. This was the best thing all week that you will see on Pro Wrestling TV. This will go down as one of the best segments in pro wrestling for 2020. This was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. This is one of the reasons why WWE is so far behind the 8 ball when it comes to AEW and the shit that happens like this. This is what makes AEW stand out and come off a lot cooler than WWE. This is exactly doing what it needs to do. It's getting Orange Cassidy over. Jericho is making Orange Cassidy into the next big thing in pro wrestling, and look at how it's happening. You are watching the growth of the next big superstar in pro wrestling. Everything about this feud has been brilliant. I'm loving everything here. I'm looking forward to this second match more so than the first match. That's a positive. They gave you a hook with this debate to get excited about the match. And the one thing I told you guys to pay attention to, the $7,000 jacket. The match has meaning. Not only did it have meaning for Orange Cassidy, it's got meaning for Jericho. Jericho didn't need to give Orange Cassidy another match. He beat him already. But he wants to beat the shit out of him. And now he's got the jacket as an important piece to this puzzle. He owes Jericho, this Cassidy, $7,000 for being a rebel. And Jericho's going to get his money back in some way, shape, or form. This is absolutely fantastic television. If you didn't like this, I don't even know what the fuck you're doing here. I don't know why you're watching AEW. This is how things should be done. This is how you build new superstars. Everything about this was brilliant. I can't wait. Britt Baker was ringside with Shivani. She revealed that her choice of opponent for Big Swole was Reba. Reba reacted shocked. Not me, not me. Please. Britt Baker then ordered her to get in the ring. Big Swole versus Reba. This was not very good. Big Swole wins in 2 minutes. She went for a moonsaulted Reba. Lost her balance. Stepped down to the second rope. She went for a moonsault. Swole moved. Swole then hit her finisher. And that was the Dirty Dancing spinning elbow. Swole talked trash to Baker at ringside and then celebrated as Britt acted frustrated at ringside. She was wearing a Chicago Bulls Michael Jordan jersey at ringside. Big Swole wins in 2 minutes. I believe Britt Baker is due back any week now, and I'm assuming that we're going to get Britt Baker versus Big Swole in a ladies match at All Out in September. Next week, man, AEW hyped up to be a good show. As always, leading to All Out live next week. Cody will be defending the title against Scorpio Sky. That should be worth the price of admission alone. Jericho versus Orange Cassidy. You guys know the deal about that. Omega and Hangman versus Jurassic Express, and Evil Uno with Stu Grayson versus the Bucks as part of Tag Team Appreciation Week. And we'll have appearances by the Rock and Roll Express and Tully Blanchard with Arn Anderson. Now, AEW folks, I don't know if you are aware, it was in the news, and we got some programming notes here for AEW. They will be preempted. Not next week, but it's coming. The August 19th episode will be preempted. So we'll be live here on YouTube with NXT, not AEW, because there'll be no AEW on Wednesday. We're all going to be forced to watch NXT. The Wednesday, August 19th episode will air on Saturday, August 22nd at 6 p.m. That doesn't work for me. That doesn't work for me. Because TakeOver is happening on Saturday, August 22nd, and it's happening at 7 p.m. So I don't know why they opted to do that. Why didn't they just do Thursday? Why didn't they do the next day? So I won't be watching Dynamite on that Saturday. I'll probably catch up with it on Monday or Sunday morning before SummerSlam. Maybe I'll go live with something Dynamite related. It looks like there won't be a Dynamite review during that week. The Wednesday, August 26th episode will also be preempted. That will air on Thursday, August 27th at 8 p.m. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this affects AEW in the ratings, how many people move over from Wednesday to Thursday, know about the preemption, know about the new scheduling date, and I want to see how much ratings they do on that Thursday by themselves with no WWE competition. September 16th, Wednesday. That episode will air Thursday, September 17th at 8 p.m. The first two shows that have been shifted are in the build-up to AEW's All Out pay-per-view. The pay-per-view is scheduled to be September 5, 2020. So luckily the go-home show is not one of the episodes affected by the NBA playoffs. This will be the first time Dynamite has been preempted from its original time slot. Again, Saturday, August 22nd is TakeOver 30. I'm not going to miss that. I'll be live on YouTube for that, going over the review. And then SummerSlam is on Sunday. So we'll see what happens there, but make sure you guys set your calendars right. AEW will be preempted on the road to All Out. There was a thing speaking of Dynamite, there was a thing in the news about Cody Rhodes speaking to ESPN when he was asked about the possibility of Dynamite going to a third hour. I want to cover this quick because a lot of people were still asking me, JD, did you see this news about Dynamite? Cody Rhodes says Dynamite's getting a third hour. So the format of Dynamite might look different if they added a third hour. He says to ESPN, and I quote, I think probably in 4 to 6 weeks, I'll have a firmer answer on that. That's still very much the case. The format of that show might be a little different. It might rely on the production we have in place already. It might not. I know we've got all kinds of different plans converging on what we want. The goal of what the third hour would be is to showcase a different crop of talent from AEW. It's very hard when you have this much talent and you only have a single weekly show. It's hard to keep people in the mix. As a wrestler, it's even hard to train for these types of shows. The only way to train for wrestling is still wrestling. It's been an adjustment even without the pandemic. If I had my way, and maybe I will, that third hour is a space to see some new men and some new women, including men and women not on our current roster. End quote. Dynamite is not going to 3 hours, folks. We're not going to be seeing Dynamite from 8 to 11 on Wednesday night. Nobody in that company has any desire at all for Dynamite to go to 3 hours. That would be a colossal failure. They see what 3 hours is doing to Raw. Why would anybody in AEW do that? Please do not think they are that stupid. Only WWE thinks the third hour is doing them good on Monday night, which is why we are in the shithole with Monday Night Raw that we are right now. He says that show will be different. The goal of what the third hour would be is to showcase different talent on that show. That other show is not Dynamite. That other show is going to be a 1 hour WCW Saturday night show. I remember watching WCW Saturday night on TV at my grandma's house on TBS. It was only 1 hour. It's exactly what it's going to be. I don't know what day of the week it's going to be. I don't know how much more wrestling I can cover on off the script. I don't know if I want to cover more wrestling. I'm burned out every single week as it is. But we will see. Dynamite is not going to a third hour, so do not worry about anything. And some people asked me about the Deadly Draw. JD, did you watch the Deadly Draw tournament, the start of it on YouTube? I did. I was impressed by one or two women, and the rest I did not care for whatsoever. Wednesday night on Dynamite, teams were randomly chosen and paired, so some enemies will be forced to team with people that they do not like. AEW has already announced Brandy Rhodes and Allie, and the team of Nyla Rose and Ariana Andrew, and then we had Taynara Conti and Anna Jay as a team as well. So during Jericho's Saturday Night Special, he actually leaked Taynara Conti, ex-WWE superstar, and Anna Jay will team up against Ariana Andrew and Nyla Rose. I did watch that match on YouTube. I thought Taynara Conti looked great. I thought AEW, if they really wanted to, should bring her on in. I think she is somebody that you need to keep an eye on. She's got the look. She's got the intensity. She obviously has gotten a lot better from even watching her in NXT. Every time we've seen her in the ring, she really didn't do much, but you've seen the little glimpses of her getting better. Anna Jay, I don't know what to think about Anna Jay yet. Clearly, she's got the look that they're looking for, but I'm not really sold on her as far as an in-ring aspect yet. Nyla Rose is Nyla Rose. We don't need to really sit here and dissect Nyla Rose. She is who she is. Ariana Andrew, there is just something about her that I cannot fucking stand. It actually makes me sick to my stomach watching her. She is fucking terrible. She is every bit as bad as I remember her. Nothing got better. She took what she remembered in her WWE days and applied it here, and it just doesn't fit the AEW mold. It doesn't. She looks ratchet. She looks ghetto. She doesn't look like a pro wrestler in my eyes should look. She looks like a female version of Sonny Kiss. She moves and moves and moves the same way as Sonny Kiss does. And that's not for me. That's not for me. I don't know why they paired her up with Nyla Rose, and I hope AEW does not give her a contract. She looks fucking miserable. So I'm glad that they lost, because I don't want to see her in this tournament any more than I already had to on Tuesday night. So that's that. Or Monday night, whenever the fuck they showed this thing. Let's go over the Super Chats, man, before we talk about Jon Moxley and Darby Allin for the AEW Championship. We got Matt Eagle, $4.99. I didn't think I'd live to see the day where Eric Bischoff was on TNT again. What an entertaining debate by AEW. Awesome, awesome stuff. Will go down as one of the best segments in pro wrestling all year. Dylan's Wrestling Stuff. JD, what's up, bro? Let's get the night started. Well, I'm already started, bro. Don't get me any more started. Thank you. Antonio, $4.99. This is not Alexa Bliss's Antonio. This is Team JD Antonio. $4.99. I'm already, having it in mind that it will be Brody Lee and Colt, Boom Boom, Cabana versus Hangman Page and Omega for the AEW Tag Team titles at All Out. I could see that. I could absolutely see that. I believe I pitched that on AEW Dynamite Review last week, if I am not mistaken. I know I pitched that at some point on the last 2 weeks. If it was not last week's review, it was the week before that. But I did pitch that, and I can absolutely see that happening as well. Antonio, thank you for the $5. Jonas Tiger. We got, I don't know what type of $50 donation this is, but I don't know what this translates into. But thank you for the 50 bomb in your currency, Jonas. We got 5 on Jesse. Zoom call with Dr. Britt Baker. Don't worry, bro. Jesse is going to meet Dr. Britt Baker whenever we go to another convention. I'm telling you, t-shirt, the works. Signed autograph. We're going to set his office up with a big poster, maybe a jersey, a t-shirt, a signed autograph. You name it, it's going to happen. Thank you so much, man. Dr. Glorious, 20 bomb, Canadian. Today marks my first year anniversary of subscribing to your channel. Thank you for being the best wrestling mentor in the IWC. Thank you so much, my friend. Also, big shout out to Quintendo for always being an OG on your live streams. LOL. He's always here, man. I haven't seen him yet, but I'm sure he was here at some point. Thank you, Doc Glorious, for the 20 bomb. Really appreciate it. We got, let's see here. Jonas again says, sorry, Jesse. Don't be sorry to him, man. Tonight, I'm letting him off the hook. He's not feeling well, so tomorrow, not tomorrow, but next week, we'll be talking about Britt Baker, him and I. Back to the good old Britt Baker ribbing next week. We got Frag Dude 44, $5 super chat. Love the reviews, JD. My thoughts are with you, Jesse. Peace. I'm sure he appreciates that, dude. Thank you so much for the $5. Ryan A, $4.99. Hey, JD, just an idea. Should AEW have a cruiserweight division? No. No more titles. I think they're fine where they are. Indigo, $2 super chat. Much respect, JD. Can't wait for All Out. Same here, brother. Thank you so much. Jacob Donnelly, $10 super chat. Just letting you know, Scorpio Sky has been winning frequently on Dark. Cut a very good promo about being underused on this past episode. Excited for his match with Cody. I don't think he wins the title, though. That's just me thinking out loud. I don't think he wins the title, but I think this will be a good restart for Scorpio Sky. Cody's going to take care of him. He's going to put him over big. Thank you, Jacob. Greatest Fan 18, £5 super chat. A while ago on Dark, it was stated on commentary that some of the members have not earned the right to remove their masks. There you go. There you go. I guess Jesse says every week, asshole, watch Dark. There you go. That's what I get for not watching Dark. We got Mr. Premium, 2002, $9.99. I know this has nothing to do with wrestling, but I just had my wisdom teeth out on Monday. I bet I could do a pretty good Kevin Dunn impersonation now. Keep up the good work, man. Man, you know what? When I got my one wisdom tooth pulled out, knock on wood, no more, please. It was not as bad as I expected it to be. I went in there fucking terrified. Now, I wish I had Britt Baker pulling my wisdom tooth out, but I did not. I was not so lucky. But I went in there, and it was literally over in 5 minutes. And I looked at the dentist. I'm like, is that it? Now, I was numb like a motherfucker, but I looked at it. I'm like, was that it? She legitimately extracted the tooth in one shot. She's like, it came out 1, 2, 3. Gave me some antibiotic because I was a little irritated back there. You know, it was kind of infected because I let it sit because I was afraid to go to the dentist. Pulled it out. She's like, "You're lucky it didn't break." Just came right out. I know how it feels, bro. Hopefully, feeling good. Seriously, I would not wish that on anybody, man. I'm terrified of the dentist. I really am. Willie, $5 super chat. Keep it up, brother. Doing great. Love AEW. Thank you so much, man. Really appreciate you for stopping by and the $5 super chat. Let's talk about the Jon Moxley Darby Allin match, AEW Championship, man. I love this match. It went 14 minutes. Obviously, Darby Allin was not going to win this thing. He was not going to become the AEW champion. But how were they going to get us with Jon Moxley retaining the championship? And Brian Cage and Ricky Starks were not allowed at ringside. Now, I thought that they were going to make an appearance here, but they did not. They did not. This one went into a finish without Brian Cage and Ricky Starks. MJF made an appearance, but he didn't really factor into the last ending of the match. I guess what he did kind of led us in the ending, but it was perfect. And they booked Darby in a great way for the time being, even though he needs a win on his own. He needs a win in his own right. I thought they went about it in a very good way. So Darby leapt off the top rope at Moxley to the floor. Darby has a great suicide dive. When he nails it, man, it's like throwing a whole sack of fucking bowling balls at somebody. He just fucking plows you over, man, like a speeding bullet. Love it. He leapt off the top rope at Moxley on the floor. Darby went for a coffin drop. Moxley blocked it. Darby scored a near fall with a code red seconds later. Beautiful code red. Beautiful code red. Wardlow came out when both men were down. MJF was on the outside, took the AEW Championship belt, and he blindsided Moxley with the world title. The referee was distracted by Wardlow. The announcer said MJF made it clear he'd rather face Darby than Moxley. Darby then hit a... Which, by the way, I love it. I love it. It plays so perfectly and so old school into MJF's heel act. He's talking about Moxley, putting Moxley down. We need better than Jon Moxley. And here he is, clearly knowing Moxley's a threat. He's saying these things, but he doesn't want to wrestle Jon Moxley. He wants to cheat his way into an easy championship victory. And he thought he could do that by having Darby Allin win the championship. So he comes out, nails Moxley, and he showed everybody his true colors that he wanted Darby Allin all along to beat Moxley because he thinks Darby Allin's the easier opponent. Love it. It's so old school, man. It's like I'm watching old school WWF with Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan on commentary. Yeah, we don't have those types of commentators now, so we have to come to our own conclusions on what we see, and that's what I seen here with this. Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan would be fucking proud of what MJF did here. I love it. I love it. Blindsided Moxley with the world title. The ref was distracted by Wardlow, and Darby then hit a coffin drop, middle of the ring, for a very close near fall. Rick Knox was the referee. His hand almost came down on that mat. I'm like, oh my God, man. Any closer, that would have been a 3 count, man. Literally a cunt's hair away from a new world champion. So coffin drop for a near fall. Moxley was bleeding from the forehead from the title shot by MJF. Mox tried to stand. He could barely keep his balance. Darby punched away at Mox, landed a drop kick to the midsection. Darby landed a back elbow. They bumped heads at incredible speeds here. They both went down. Darby climbed to the top rope, landed another coffin drop, but Moxley was prepared and locked in a sleeper, blood dripping down his face. He had the wherewithal to catch Darby Allin in a coffin drop in the middle of the ring, caught him in a sleeper hold, hit a leaping pile driver for a 2 count. Darby Allin somehow kicked out. He looked frustrated, and then he hit the paradigm shift for the win. He then, at the end of the match, took Darby Allin by the head, and he was obviously encouraging him and saying something at the end of the match, which was great. Very, very good match. Hard-fought match. Added a little color there with the blood. And Ross said he appreciates his heart and love for pro wrestling. They showed MJF in the back. He was yelling at the monitor. You couldn't hear him. He was like, this is full of shit. This is complete bullshit. Yelling at his staff members. And he stormed off the screen, obviously upset that he did not get the job done. He wanted Darby, but he's getting Mox for the World Championship. And that's the way Dynamite went off the air. Awesome, awesome, awesome stuff, man. Really great stuff. AEW's white hot right now, and if you ain't enjoying it, I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you. I really don't understand why are we getting 1.7, 1.8 million people watching that shit show known as Monday Night Raw, but we're not watching this? Really? Imagine these shows in front of live audiences. AEW is white hot right now. Imagine these shows in front of live audiences. Imagine that debate in front of a live audience. Imagine that match with Moxley and Darby Allin in front of a live audience. Imagine MJF in front of a live audience cutting that promo he did last week. Bischoff coming out. That would have been great. These shows are making me miss live audiences. Not Raw. Not SmackDown. Because I know for a fact that even if we had live audiences there, we'd still be getting the same show no matter what. Here, imagine how much they would add to the show. It really sucks. Mr. Premium, $199. LOL, I had 5. 5 what? What are you talking about, bro? Oh, you had 5 wisdom teeth pulled. Jesus Christ, bro. Oh, my goodness. I feel sorry for you, bro. Keep your money, man. What the fuck you doing? 5 wisdom teeth. I had fucking 1, and I was acting like a fucking pussy. Brian Alex, $5 super chat. JD goes one-on-one with Stephanie McMahon. On off the script, that would be awesome. Why would I need to go one-on-one with Stephanie McMahon? I don't want to talk to her. I'd end up chewing her head off about how terrible her father is running the company. Running it into the ground is Vince McMahon. Guys, thank you for the 1,100 viewers here tonight. Thank you for making Off the Script, I hope, the #1 podcast in the community here on Wednesday night for Dynamite. If you enjoyed it, where's my music? Yeah, man. Yeah, bro. This song, man, from Destiny 1, Sepix Prime, one of my favorite strikes in the game, coming back in November. Can't wait. But thank you guys so very much, man, for all your support. If you enjoyed the podcast tonight, hit that thumbs up. Please hit that thumbs up. Helps out the channel, helps out the video. You guys know it. Go and get your NEGAN t-shirts, man. Go and get it. Link is down below in the description. Let's sell 50 tonight. Let's get up to 50, man. IWC Savior now on sale. Bonfire.com. So get yours today. Follow me on Twitter at JD206. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll be live tomorrow afternoon, probably around dinner time, for NXT. NXT review. My boy Dexter Loomis is out. I don't know what happened. But I'll be back live with NXT tomorrow night. Thank you guys so very much. Until then, again, hit that thumbs up. And this has been Off the Script for your AEW Dynamite coverage right here on the podcast. See you guys later.